welcome to the Latin Quarter. This area is so called because students of the nearby Sorbonne University would have conversed with one another in Latin during the Middle Ages. Today, you'll hear all kinds of languages from all over the world because it's still very international. However, you might be hard-pressed to find some people speaking Latin unless you go to the classics department. With that being said, this area is full of bars, restaurants, there's loads of medieval architecture, there's even plenty of Roman architecture. So let's go and explore now. This is the Fontaine Saint-Michel. It was constructed in the 1860s, and for many people, it's the gateway to the Latin Quarter. The statue behind me depicts the Archangel Michael defeating the devil, and it's truly a very beautiful sight. It's also in a great prime position close to the River Seine and Notre Dame. And if you follow me along the river, we'll go to our next destination. This square is often the site of markets, including an annual Christmas market, and at the moment, as you can see, is playing host to a gourmet food market. This isn't necessarily a tourist scam, but I can guarantee you that none of the products in the shops alongside the Seine were made in Paris. If you do want to get some authentic things from Paris, you should go to the bouquinistes, which are the green boxes the other side of the Seine. The history of the Paris bouquinistes dates back to around the 16th century, and in total there are over 200 of these green boxes with their sellers lining the banks of the Seine. It's estimated that there are over 300,000 books for sale, as well as prints, antiques and other collectibles. Now that we're a little further along the Seine, right opposite Notre Dame, you'll find one of the most amazing English language bookstores in Paris, and you probably already know what it is. Let's go. Shakespeare and Company was founded by American serviceman George Whitman in 1951. It's actually the second such store to bear the name Shakespeare and Company, because the original one was founded by Sylvia Beach in 1919. However, it was forced to close during the Nazi occupation of Paris in 1941. Today, the bookstore is simply thriving, and it's even bought the cafe next door, and so there's also a Shakespeare & Co. cafe next door. In order to preserve the authentic atmosphere, you unfortunately can't take any photos or videos inside the store, and so you'll have to come here for yourself in order to see how magical it is inside. There's lots of winding little paths through the books, and upstairs there's an amazing view onto Notre Dame. Shakespeare and Company is also home to one of the best hidden gems of the Latin Quarter, which I'll take you to now. I can't believe that more people don't know about Square René-Viviani. After all, it's an amazing place to hang out on the benches. You can sit, have a picnic, read a book, and also is home to one of the oldest trees in Paris. If you're interested in Notre Dame updates, then you'll be happy to see that the spire has been reinstalled. This acacia tree was planted in 1601 or 1602, depending on who you ask, making it the oldest tree in Paris. If you do the maths, it's over 400 years old, although if you look closely, it's definitely being propped up by a few cement pillars, so it's definitely seen better days. Choux pastry comes from Paris, and it's a delightful little pastry case filled with cream. If you want to get one of the best ones in France, it's just behind me. We've acquired our choux. As you can see, they're quite tiny. They're already €2.50 each, which makes them quite pricey. You can get all kinds of different flavors, including pistachio, mango, raspberry, but I chose to get caramel, so I'm going to try it now. Worth the price tag. Just across the road, you'll reach another hidden gem of the Latin Quarter, and that's the Église Saint-Severin. If you exit the church via the other side from which you came in and come round the back, then you'll come across another amazing Anglophone bookstore. It's just around the corner. The Abbey bookshop was founded on the 1st of July 1989 by a Canadian, and today it hosts over 40,000 books, and they're really crammed inside the store. When you go in, you'll see that they're stacked from floor to ceiling. The owner is really friendly, and there's always fresh coffee brewing. In around 60 BCE, the Romans arrived in Paris and they eventually conquered the Gallic tribe that was here. The city came to be known as Lutetia, and it would largely occupy the space of Ile de la Cité and what is now the Latin Quarter. So now traces of this past can be found all around this area. One of the prime spots in this area where you can see traces of the Roman past is at the Musée Cluny, which is home to the former Roman thermal spas. This museum is also where you can learn all about the history of medieval Paris and to see many incredible tapestries. Just behind me is one of the main buildings of the Sorbonne University. This historical institution was founded in 1257, making it one of the oldest universities in Europe. Today, it's world-renowned and still has thousands of students from all over the world. As a result of the university, you'll find that this square is one of the most lively places in all of Paris. I have a particularly special spot for it because during my time as a student at Sorbonne, I used to hang out here with my friends, and we would often go to the cafe just down the way as it was one of the cheapest bars in the area. Construction of the Paris Pantheon began in 1757, and it was originally constructed to serve as a church dedicated to Saint Genevieve, who's the patron saint of Paris. During the French Revolution, it was secularized, and today it's home to the final resting place of many French men of note, including Voltaire, Victor Hugo, and Louis Braille. Marie Curie is also interred within the basement, which is also known as the crypt. For those of you who are wondering what happened to Saint Genevieve, we're going to find out right now just around the corner in a little known church called Saint Etienne du Mont. You may well recognize these steps because they were used as a filming location in Midnight in Paris. Built between 1492 and 1626, the place of worship was eventually consecrated in 1626 and was originally dedicated to Saint Etienne, who was once the patron saint of the old Cathedral of Paris. Today, it's home to a chapel which serves as the final resting place of Saint Genevieve. If you recognize this door, it's because it's where Emily lives in the show Emily in Paris. If you head to the other side of the square, you'll find the boulangerie and the cafe where Gabriel works. In real life, it's not a French restaurant, but an Italian bistro. As you can imagine, since the show, this square has become so busy. I used to come here a lot when I was a student and there was never anyone there. But luckily, I know somewhere where the locals do hang out, and it's just down the street. Rue Mouffetard is a popular shopping street with lots of little vendors like butchers, greengrocers, things like that. It's actually one of the busiest and oldest streets in Paris. And while it may be used today for market purposes, the origins of the name is rather unsavory because Mouffetard comes from a word meaning pestilent of odor, which derives from the fact that during the Middle Ages, this area was where lots of animal skinners lived. This is the entrance to Arrondissement. This Roman amphitheatre probably dates back to the 1st century Common Era. The most wild part of this amphitheatre is that it was actually lost to the annals of time and was only rediscovered during construction in the area in 1869. Today, it's been transformed into what is largely a playground in this area. There's lots of kids playing football, but there are also lots of benches up there which you can sit on to have lunch. Also, the other thing to know about this place is it's only 1/4 of the size of what once would have been here. There's also a tiny vineyard here, which is so cute. Our final stop on today's tour of the Latin Quarter is the delightful Jardin des Plantes. This was actually created for Louis XIII as a medicinal garden and is today an amazing space where lots of Parisians hang out. It's completely free to visit and it really comes to life in spring and summer when you can hear the birds chirping and all of the things are in bloom. The garden is also home to the Natural History Museum of Paris. Thank you so much for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Paris content. See you next time.